many different outlets.
Today is Tuesday, Rosemary, March 12th, 2024. Time is 7 o'clock. We're in the town hall on the second floor, room 21. Today, we're meeting, Finance Committee is meeting. We have meeting minutes from March 6th. So we still have an outstanding meeting minutes of February 27th, too, I believe. Elizabeth, maybe you could check that. I don't believe we've reviewed those meeting minutes yet, 227. Reserve fund stands at $35,000. Public forum, nobody's here for an audience for anything not on the agenda. On the new business, we will have the Capital Committee here at 7:15. They're not here yet, so we'll just move on with reading through our agenda. Old business, subcommittee reports, and discussion of the fiscal 25 budget is always in order. We have no communications, and town administrator is out ill today. Assistant town administrator is in Board of Selectmen's meeting tonight. So our upcoming meetings are posted at the bottom of the agenda. Next week, the following week, then we have 4 meetings in April, and that's it before annual town meeting. So we have 4 meetings in April, 2 additional meetings. One of those is joint with the Board of Selectmen at 6 o'clock. I did make sure that's a different time, so just pay attention to that. And that's it for the agenda. As far as roll call, in attendance, we have Al Cafferty, we have Rosemary Connolly, we have Ralph Mitchell, and we have John Noon by phone, and myself. So we have a quorum. And so if the board is amenable, we'll review the meeting minutes from our last week's meeting, the emergent meeting of March 6th. Everybody should have a copy in their packet. Underneath the agenda, there's a copy of this meeting minute. It's a one-pager. It's page 680. So, actually, there's already an amendment here. The Whitman Finance Committee called to order for an emergent meeting at 6:07. Right, it was a 6 o'clock meeting, because I had a 7 o'clock meeting after that. So just want to amend the time. Hey, you can sit right here. Okay. Don Essen is now in attendance in our meeting. Don, we just have the recording going, so we're, for our recording secretary is absent today. We also have John Noon by telephone on that cell phone right there. Ralph, you know.
Yep.
Rosemary, you know. Al, you know.
How are you?
Thank you for coming.
Reading the minutes, because we're just...
Thanks
So-
for having me.
So take a few minutes and catch your breath, and we'll just, this is a one-page meeting minutes from last week.
Sure.
So attendance at this meeting was myself, Kathleen Otina, Rosemary Connolly, Chuck Colby, and Al Cafferty by phone. Absent was Mike Warner, Justin Casanova Davis, John Noon, and Ralph Mitchell. And non-members in attendance was Selectman Kane. So the entire premise of the meeting was to approve the draft letter to the governor. There was good discussion. Selectman Kane, on the second paragraph, had petitioned the Finance Committee by email not to send the letter, and he gave his reasonings. We took his, information and pondered it, and then we needed, Mr. Colby wanted to get a little bit of clarification of how we ended up here. And to our knowledge, the information that is given in the meeting minutes was what we were told as to why the special legislation needed to be passed. So a motion was made to send the letter to the governor, signed by the representatives of the Finance Committee, and the motion was seconded and voted unanimously. So then, old business just talked about the special legislation a little bit, and motion was made at 7:25 to adjourn the meeting. Does anybody have anything that they need to change? Add, subtract? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Further discussion? We'll have to do roll call votes tonight because we do have a quorum, but because we have one member on phone, we'll go around the table. So, Ralph?
I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, very good. Rosemary?
I accept.
And Al?
I accept.
I accept. John?
Abstain.
Okay. All right, so the motion is carried to accept the previous minutes from March 6, 2024 as presented. Thank you, Elizabeth, for writing that up. So what we'll do now, we'll suspend the rest of our business that we have before us, and we'll turn it over to our Capital Committee Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me here for this. Did everyone get a copy of this? I
Yeah.
sent it to Rick. Okay.
Yeah, I just got it this afternoon, so I just copied it.
So let me start with a little bit out of, I guess, the organized chronological order here and talk a little bit about the district, the school. Last night we voted to approve all the bullet items or the bolded items. With a caveat in the school that I want to contact the Hanson district to see what they were going to do. After I sent this to you, Rick, I did reach out to the Hanson district, Frank Melissi, which would be my counterpart for the capital committee there, and they are not going to approve any capital request from the district this year because they didn't get anything in time, no backup supporting documents, nothing. And I don't know if you guys were aware of that, but that's the situation.
We had a little problem with that because it doesn't matter what the towns are going to approve or not. It goes right to the warrant no matter what. That's the law. They're separate. They govern separately. So
I'm not here to debate that.
Is there a
I'm
way
just
that-
here just
can we
telling
bring
you
this-
what's going on.
Rosemary, let's
Yeah.
let Don finish his presentation, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah. So with that, I just want to make everybody aware of the situation there. And my counterpart mentioned to me that they might get to it in October, but with their financial situation, he doesn't believe they're going to even address it until the following year, which would be fiscal year 2026. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, just to get it out there so everyone's aware. So of the items that we did review with supporting documents was item number 1, which was the building commissioner, a vehicle for him. He had a supporting quote from McLaughlin Chevrolet for a tick under 35 grand. It was 34976. Any questions with that?
No, who's
Do you
that-
want to
who
wait
was
to the
that
end?
for?
Or
The building commissioner. Oh, we can wait at the end unless you guys
Yeah,
want to go.
I think it'd be
per
better
one.
because I'm sure everybody has questions on each one of them. So.
Okay. That was for the building commissioner, the new building commissioner. The fire department, we recommended to approve the firefighting gear for $123,000 and change. The 2 vehicles for the fire department we're recommending to defer. The new pumping engine for $1.2 million and a new vehicle for the deputy chief. With facilities, the first item is, it probably shouldn't even be on here, it's basically his 5-year look ahead. So that first item, the multi-rooftop condensers, he's got it for 2028 and 2029, 2030. So we'll go down to the next item, the pool house pump room upgrades. It's $20,000. It comprised of a bunch of little items. New roll-up door for the pump house, some plumbing fixtures in there, some electrical fixtures. All in, it was 20 grand. I don't know if that should have really fallen under capital or operational, but the department head put it under capital, so we just left it there. Okay, some underground condensers. This is for the town hall for the old police department. 14 grand. The circulating pumps for 37.5, we deferred that. And the fire panel replacement for the police department for 47K, we approved. Or we're recommending to approve. So total for facilities, we're looking at 81,000. Police department, a new vehicle for the police department, that's 68,000. We're looking to approve that. And I didn't have it in my notes, but it was looking to approve. The Whitman Hanson Regional School District, like we talked about, they have in here the fire alarm panel in two different line items. One is for the fire alarm panel, that's the second line item. The first line item is for all the peripheral devices, heat detectors, pull stations, monitor modules, control relays, all the stuff that the fire alarm looks into. Basically, they're looking to replace the whole thing. This 86,000 and 54,000 would be our portion. So if you were to reverse calculate that, the whole project is approximately $250,000. So we agree with the need. We would like to see. They just got bids from the provider that is there right now, and at a project for fire alarm at $250,000, we kind of feel as a committee that it would have been best served if they could have sourced that out to get competitive bids, and they didn't. So that's why the note is there. We agree with the need, however, we feel like should have been competitive bids. We reached out to the district numerous times to have them come in to explain some of this stuff, and they kept filing back with some emails with little stuff to support these items. The next item, well, I guess it would be number 3, is a new chiller. And we just had a question, is there an opportunity for mass save with this? Seeing how it might be a new energy efficient one, so that's one thing we'd like to look at. The next 3 items, we didn't receive any supporting documents. New router, new UPS, and new wireless network, which, you know, we would like to see quotes on that stuff. We would like to see some type of supporting documents, not just an email saying this is how much we want. Regardless, we looked at this $300,000 number. We know it's the school. We feel like, you know, we would like the opportunity to have these people talk about this a little bit more in depth. We did approve it, but we're, in light of what Hanson did, and they're not approving anything, we would like the opportunity to continue working with the school to get more supporting documents to basically support these needs. Enough said with that. I kind of already went through it. Technology. This is Josh McNeil. Computers. I think there's a total of 30 computers and an additional voice over IP phone system upgrades, all in 90 grand for technology. The DPW, a few years back we asked them to kind of budget 100 grand for sidewalks and 100 grand for roads for repairs every year. And so that's what they did. They submitted 100 grand. We looked at what we have for free cash. We looked at where we can possibly, what would make sense to spend, and we reduced that to 75 grand a piece. So the combined sidewalks and streets we're recommending 150,000 instead of 200,000. You have the State Transportation Improvement Program. We're asking Bruce Martin to come in for a meeting to give us some more information on that for the 316,000. A wing plow that was previously approved at a special town meeting back in October, so it didn't need to be on here as a capital purchase. So we have that off. Then the Chapter 90 funds, that is portioned in the fiscal year 2024. So with the total DPW, we're just recommending 150,000. So of those bolded items on that, it sums to $724,533.52. So with that, I'll open it up for questions on any line item. Go ahead.
So
Good.
I just want to make it clear, I don't disagree with your approach. It ends up being, the way it works is it's a separate entity. So if if things are followed the way they're supposed to, we budget so it's not there, it still goes on the warrant, then it's voted in, then we're in trouble. We've overdone it. Is there a way, if you're not getting anywhere through the superintendent or through that, to just walk up and it has to be directly with the school committee and say, hey, listen, this is, because that's where it has to be. This hasn't even been voted, right? This was just sent over without a vote from the school committee, or maybe.
Don't
Fred
know if
could
it was
assist.
voted from the school committee.
Fred, maybe you can help us with this.
First of all, welcome, Fred.
Well, yeah, this Fred's
Just for the
not-
record, the meeting's being recorded, our recording secretary is absent, so we're just gonna officially introduce you as being, coming into our meeting. So Fred Small, welcome to the Finance Committee meeting.
Here to support Don.
Okay,
Thank you, Fred.
And this is good because we actually needed your information here. Don has several items that have come over and he's contacted the schools, I believe.
I have, yeah.
And he does need backup. Everything he's asking for is reasonable.
Yeah.
Making sure that we got our best quotes in, that we're getting our best deal. Also believes that it's a reasonable request, but he seems to not be getting any response from the schools.
Correct.
Were these voted in?
I don't believe that the committee has voted them. We may have a while back voted something, but I don't recall. I don't
Okay.
remember exactly voting them.
Okay.
But who's requesting the funds, Fred? Who's requesting those monies?
So they're coming from the district,
Right.
but
But we don't know whether they're just
I don't know if it's
boilerplate
George
numbers
and
up there. I mean,
Jeff,
there's no.
Ultimately,
That's the thing.
if it's
You know.
voted by the school committee, it goes on the warrant, but if it's just sent over,
yeah, I don't
Yeah, so
believe
that's
the
it.
committee itself has voted.
okay, thank you. So
In-
that's something you can.
In one of the things, and I'm not picking apart a different department, but I don't think they have the expertise that they had when Ernie left. So they don't have a facilities person really. They brought in that Tim from Georgia or wherever he might have been from, I
He
forget.
just left, didn't he?
And he's no longer there. And I don't know who on the facilities side
Who did they get to put first?
is pulling that role.
It's a good question.
Oh, that's,
okay. So let me just ask Fred to.
They haven't formally introduced anybody in that position.
okay, thank you.
So Don, I'm just going to ask Fred, just because it's
Sure.
related to the school committee.
Yep.
Is there a subcommittee within the school committee for capital?
There is, well, facilities.
And they would be the ones that would recommend to the full,
They recommend to the full committee.
and then a vote would be taken to include a capital item on the Whitman and Hanson warrants.
Warrant,
Yeah.
which I believe by law they could have done that.
All right, and then,
It might be too late now.
oh, okay. So is there any way, when is the school committee meeting next?
Tomorrow, but
Okay.
it's not a full agenda.
Okay, so there's no way you could ask that question whether or not that the items were moved by vote by the school committee to be included in the
I
warrant?
can call Jen and ask her tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, so I think it's important, just because we're
Put it
looking
this
for,
way,
Are we
whether-
legally obligated to pay this bill or not? Because we don't
well,
want to.
you would have seen it
Yeah.
in the form of a warrant article.
That's
Oh, we haven't
it.
seen any
And we
warrant
haven't
And
seen
you
that.
haven't seen anything.
Then we're good.
we haven't seen anything, so
Any-
they could be included already.
But we
No, I mean, for them to have sent it over, you'd have to see it in a warrant article.
and this is
So just for our
They've
committee,
not sent it to the selectmen, they've not sent it to our committee.
we
okay.
have. I think we have to. If they've sent it over, we have to sort of preserve it. But but also there's got to be that dialogue.
Right.
I mean, you're asking for reasonable things. You're asking, you're doing the right procedures for these.
We think we are. We
Yeah.
feel we are. That's I think the role of our committee to
To do that oversight.
To do a
And
little
of course,
bit of that.
asking for, I'm always going to be asking to make sure that we can get any reimbursement for the state for anything. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so let's go and let's circle back to the beginning of your presentation. Unless anybody has further questions they want to ask related to the Whitman Hanson Regional School District capital items that we already had a discussion about. So generally speaking, then, Dawn, can you tell me what the total for all fiscal 25 capital requests was? Do you know?
For all departments included.
Everything
Oh, are you asking me what the total was?
that was submitted.
That was
for your
submitted.
consideration.
Oh,
Oh, you don't know.
of course you asked me something
Well,
that I didn't
That's okay.
sort this way.
All right. So again, when we had an earlier conversation, we talked about what the approach for capital would be. And obviously, we've had some difficult financial years, but I don't think we've had a financial year where all capital requests weren't recommended by the capital committee and subsequently recommended by the finance committee.
Right.
This year is going to be different.
Right.
You obviously had to draw a line through many recommendations in
We
order
did.
for us to consider the budget deficit that we're facing for the
Right.
rest of the budget, right? So I guess what we were looking for, generally speaking then, is an aggregate total of all the requests, and then in the capital committee's opinion, what the priority for them would be. So I guess my question was, has anybody told you that the town is capable of expending $724,533.52 this fiscal year on capital?
Nobody has come out with that number.
Okay.
What we've discussed is being fiscally responsible on not just a rubber stamping everything when we knew we didn't have the funding behind it. So I think we looked at what was available for free cash and what would be a fiscal approach to keep some in reserve, and then what we should probably where our target should be in a range.
Sure.
That's kind of how we approached it. We didn't come down to a penny.
And this is good. This is
Yeah.
a good conversation we're having now because it's more of a conversation. Every year we seem to have a better handle on evaluating the capital needs
Yeah.
and making recommendations based on our ability to pay.
Yeah.
So this year, like I said, is unusual because we have yet to get the balanced budget from the town administrator, board of selectmen yet. So we don't really know what the deficit is beyond the preliminary numbers that we have. But there's no doubt in my mind that in order for the selectmen to present a balanced budget to the finance committee for recommendations at the end of this month, there's going to have to be one-time money utilized. And that one-time money is, some of that is coming from this free cash. So just be aware that the recommendation that the finance committee is going to make is not only based on the recommendations of the capital committee, right? But when the town and the board of selectmen submits their final balanced budget, we may find we don't have $724,000 in free cash to apply to capital needs. So that was why it would be good, and it still may be a possibility, I don't know if you guys are still meeting, but to take the $724,000 of items that you have included and prioritize them. So if we only have $387,000 to put towards capital this year, we know which items are going to be included in that total. I'm just throwing an arbitrary number out there.
You bring up a point that we talked about a little bit about last year, prioritizing things. And you and I personally have had these conversations. And I think it's good. I think we are meeting on the 28th, which is 2 weeks from today, basically, or approximately. We are looking to have the school come in and Bruce Martin to come in to with the DPW to go over some questions that we have. I can prioritize everything between now and then, but I would need the committee to formalize it and have a vote on it.
Sure.
So I wouldn't be able to do that until the 28th.
Well, you probably wouldn't be able to do it out of a posted meeting either, really. I
Right.
mean, it would be something that the aggregate committee would be probably recommending, but.
Right.
So all I'm saying is, this is great to get this first pass at the capital needs and the ones that you are recommending.
Yep.
But we're not opposed to you returning or even just sending an email with an update after you have your next meeting so that we can have a little bit more to go on. Because
Yeah, I can do
not
that.
only is your committee lacking some information to make
Yeah.
your final recommendations, but we, by association, don't have that information either. I mean, we have less than you have, so.
Although I
Yeah.
think we could probably go department by department pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think we could.
We can do that right now. What we voted to recommend.
Yeah, but I don't think we need it now, to tell you the truth, because we don't really have our.
We have it highlighted, you recommended, so
Right.
we have this. So I have a ask,
Sure,
and you've
sure.
done this better this year than I have seen
Right,
before.
right.
I see a lot more, hey, can we get federal, state grants in this, and you've done this, I haven't seen this as good in
Right,
past years.
right.
Do we have, and sometimes grants take a couple years to get, as we know, as we go in.
There's something called E-rate,
Right.
and, through one of our members, we're aware of it. We don't know how that fell into the schools, for instance, in their requests. Has that been utilized? Are they spending it elsewhere?
Yeah. So,
We
so
have
And the problem is not only E-rates and Mass Save. Those are the ones that everybody kind of uses or at least is aware of. How many other programs are out there that
This-
nobody knows about?
if you were to look at, if I review each town and what they get for aid, right? And we look at even the Chapter 90 program, and not the Chapter 90 formula program, but the program that they're using.
Right.
We haven't seen anything from the DOT for that. We haven't seen anything for dams, for any of the
Yeah.
things that we could use. I'd like to see an aggressive, and so there's a formula that they use for roads, right? And it's not perfect, but
There is.
they're looking for that 40% aid, the same as we have 60-40.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar for aids in schools. We're not going to do that overnight. I know that. It's gonna
Well,
take
we
a
do
long
have
time.
Chapter 90 funds for the DPW.
Yeah, that's the DPW Chapter 90 funds is your formula Chapter 90. That's what you're talking about. Now
Right.
there's also grant Chapter 90 on top of that, and that's kind of what they call it. The
Well, who would know that? Would that be
well,
the DPW?
yeah,
Or,
I actually
Yeah.
sent people on the board the facts and the ones that are available. You just have to go through Plymouth County and apply.
Right.
So like if you have one of the roads that are having more accidents, more roads, you just apply. And when I talk to the people at DOT, they're like, Whitman never applies. They
Yeah.
never. The first time we ever did was down there, and I think Bruce Martin even said they were happy to give it because we never apply. And that's the same thing I'm hearing from those guys over there at Plymouth County
Yeah.
DOT.
Yeah.
So
If there's funds out there, I would.
hold them
you know,
accountable. That's what I'm saying. Remind them.
I
Here
think what we
first.
would like to do is we're finalizing every year. We get a little bit. I don't want to say smarter, but we get a little bit more knowledgeable on what we ask for submissions, and that will be a checkbox of what grant or funding sources or whatever is available to every department head, because I have no idea.
Yeah, Rick, when we had our group together over the summer, and we put together how we did budget submissions, one of the things that all the budgets were supposed to have is what grants did you apply for? We might need to, you're actually our working group for our recommendations.
Right.
We're not going to recommend something that you don't recommend. So that should be correlated with his work for a long-term, okay, we get it on what grants are out there. So you're putting it on there, you're showing me that you're knowledgeable that there are grants out there. So holding everybody accountable to making sure that
Well,
we're getting that, that revenue.
I don't want to intersect here, but would it be even better if somebody formulated other grants for every department that's available and have, I don't want to leave it for the department head to miss something.
Oh, we should have somebody doing that.
If somebody,
Like a manager.
if somebody could say, these 4 items, could be available to you, look into them before you even look for funding. I would rather make it, I don't want to, dummy proof, basically. Give them a tool that whoever is the, I don't know who puts together the budget for the district, but it could be somebody different every year.
I would just, on the,
Every department.
every department.
Every department,
Because the
it would be
district-
really good
So
if
the
we had
district's
that.
aid is primarily automatically given. That's
Mm-hmm.
70. The majority of the district's aid is automatically given. And when we look at aid per department, you want diversity in aid in federal grants. You don't want to have it isolated in one department. And right now when we look, we have it primarily isolated at the schools, and we are far below in the town level.
Yep.
So we know that we have a lot of room. The lowest you're supposed to be is 10%, and we're at about 7. So we have a lot of room, and it goes from 10 to 75% of your budget can be aid. So we're
Yeah.
missing that revenue. So
Well, just exactly
in the
your
town.
case study you just brought up with the DPW.
Yeah.
That could be perfect for all departments.
well, I've been fighting for Chapter 90 for a while.
Didn't we do something last year, part of someone's job responsibility, Rick? I recall.
That was what it was supposed to do. That's what was supposed to be on every one of our budgets.
What happened
That's
to it?
Well, it
Right.
wasn't followed through.
Well, let me just say this about the capital committee. Does the capital committee utilize a capital request form still, right?
We do, but
Does it have anything on the form that?
He's saying, how do you support the
Site-
department head into
Does-
doing that?
Right, I'm just saying though, in addition to that, to supplement that, the form that the departments will submit could also have, a section. Was there any grants that were sought after for this particular item? You know what I mean? When you talk about, is it something life safety? Is it something, and then the priority of it would increase, based on, what it was for, right? But it also could incorporate a question asking, was any federal or state grant money available for this item?
As much as we can write that, I think what I'd like to see is somebody in the selectman's office also be there ready to help fill those slots in.
Sure, yeah, I'm not saying
Okay.
it should be the only thing, but I'm just saying it could be an additional thing, and that's obviously a good point
I
too.
think if we ask, the generic question, what has been looked at as a grant, I think it becomes an easy checkbox to say, yep, I've looked at everything.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, you have these 4 things that that your department qualifies for.
Why weren't they?
Why weren't they looked at?
That's a great.
And I think if you
that's-
give them the information, they're more apt to use it
You're right.
than just
So
asking the generic question.
So here's another scenario or an option. The capital request form could be sent to the department, then forwarded to the selectman's office, where the person in charge of researching grants could incorporate the grants that they see possibly being suitable for this purchase, and then getting it back to you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And I think on the capital request form itself, the couple of key questions. Is this, does this affect energy usage?
Right.
Because if it does, then there should hopefully be something out
Right,
there.
yeah.
Oh,
With
yeah.
mass
Certain
Yes,
things
that's
would
what
trigger,
it is.
right, absolutely.
And Fred brings up a good point. He's bringing up the way aid is used is to have people so that it pulls us to work as a commonwealth. It isn't just arbitrarily given. So if we need infrastructure, they'll give aid for infrastructure. Right now they're doing green energy. So an awareness of what the objective of the state is or what the commonwealth is, and look in the terms. So you make a great point. The awareness is green energy. And anytime we're shifting something and we're moving into that green energy.
And that's a simple line item on the form.
Yeah.
Right, and so if you look at this list, you could even say something for the fire panel replacement upgrade, right? That's a life safety thing. There are probably some grants
I'm
up there
sure there is,
if you
yeah.
really looked
Yeah.
that could be found.
And in different economic times,
Yep.
between Senator Brady and State Rep Sullivan, an earmark for that.
Yeah.
Right.
At different times. Right now, there's no money.
Right, yeah.
Well, it's heading, they're definitely, like I said, growing another part of the state with the money and leaving sort of the earmarks kind of were the cuts, actually.
Okay, so let's redirect back to the beginning of the list, and again, if anybody has more general questions, we can certainly entertain them now. But don't think that this is an affront to the work that you've been doing, but if we have specific questions on individual line items that
That's
we
fine.
will follow up.
Yep.
So particularly for me, on the building department, the 2024 four-wheel drive Chevy Colorado,
Right.
what vehicle is that replacing?
He's got an old rusted out, I don't know what.
2008 Chevy Tahoe, I
Tahoe.
believe.
That's good. That's a Fred Flintstone mobile. He's
Okay.
He'd go through the floorboards.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. I haven't seen it, but that's what I'm hearing.
All right. So somebody has asked that question, that's good.
Yep.
So, anybody have anything else on the building department request? We'll move down line item. So the fire department, you've had deferred,
The pumper engine
and
and the deputy chief's
the
vehicle.
deputy chief vehicle. So, what is the deputy chief vehicle driving now?
He's got, I think one of them's got a 2011, and the other one's, I think the chief has got a 2015, or no.
Newer than that, though, isn't it?
No,
Yeah,
we purchased, 5 years ago, when we got the override, I thought we got a new vehicle, and they replaced it. Am I wrong, Al?
No, you're right.
I don't have
He's
the,
got
Maybe they bought a used vehicle,
the
but I'd
deputy
like to
chief.
kind of take
No,
a
they
look.
bought new.
No.
The deputy chief has Greno's old.
So they switched, so the chief got Greno's
Yeah, chief
old
got the
one,
new
and then,
one,
and then the
and
third
the deputy
one,
chief got the older one, and then the building inspector got what they were driving.
with,
Right.
which,
So it's
The
the hand-me-down cycle.
Sure. Okay. And then one of the other things is the capital committee tracking, like, what is the disposal of the previous vehicles?
yes,
Like you're saying,
it's after it's gone.
we're
there a
not
trade-in?
looking at the disposal of the asset. We're looking, especially with vehicles. We have a vehicle list
We should be.
that, but I don't know.
I believe most of them have been traded in
yeah.
upon the purchase of another
So, I mean, that
vehicle.
could affect the ranking on the capital, right? Say, for instance, a vehicle was
Procurement.
newer and it had a good market value, and the town was gonna realize a trade-in, either they offset the cost of the new vehicle. That could move something, in my mind, up the list or down the list,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I think the way we looked at it last night was the police vehicle are run all the time.
They're hard-
They're a different animal.
Sure, we understand.
If we need to budget to replace a minimum of one, maybe two a year.
Absolutely.
The fire, it's an emergency vehicle, but it's also, it's transportation for the chief and the deputy chief. Maybe the urgency can go a few more years. The building commissioner, I think that could probably go a lot more years, maybe 10 years or longer.
Are we purchasing outright?
Yeah.
Why even do about lease?
We
These
picked-
Lease to own?
we
These
were told-
vehicles, these emergency vehicles with the fire department, they're not going like the police
They're
department.
open-end leases when you're talking municipalities.
Yeah.
You might as well just be financing it, and terms are not good.
Yeah, we went through that before.
Yeah.
It
We
wasn't
had
a
that
way
on
to
the
go.
Collins report.
Yeah.
That was reviewed by the Collins report. Okay. Rick brought up a point. Aggressive procurement monitoring, both purchasing and sales, should be seen as a whole, as capital, as part of how we buy and spend. I know that you sort of trade down, and that's great.
Right.
But at the end of that trade, that money goes to buy that newer vehicle.
Yeah, we can look at that. I think that's a good idea to look at that. I wouldn't want the
It's-
capital
it's-
committee to be the keeper of all assets
But procurement is
also.
something we're supposed to be doing by law.
Well, I mean, that
But
could,
that should be the department head,
So
shouldn't
we-
it
yeah.
be?
Right. The police vehicles are
No,
purchased through the
no,
Plymouth
it's a
County
procurement
as a
officer, and I
group.
don't
one
know.
at a time.
As a group, the
Well,
Plymouth
I'm
County
speaking.
they
I know.
purchase
Yeah.
all of them at the same
Yeah.
time. You know.
I was talking. Procurement, thank you, Al. Procurement is done by the procurement officer.
Right,
So,
which is who?
exactly. So identifying the procurement officer and having them be having them give a report for each one might be the best.
I love the idea. I don't want to leave this meeting thinking that it's going to be the capital committee to be the procurement
Perfect.
department.
Okay,
I
Al?
don't think it's.
You wanna add to that?
I don't
No,
know.
that's
It's where
All right,
we
let
belong.
me, can I just say, and add to the previous comment that I had about the grants, is that when the capital committee receives a request from a department, it forwards it to the procurement officer to find out if there's grant money and what the disposition of the old asset will be, and mark it on that form, and then forward it to the capital committee.
Yep.
Now you have all that information
Yep.
coming from one source,
Are
right?
you looking at trading in a vehicle?
Well, either that or
It's a big crystal ball.
right. You're right.
Because
Right.
of the timing.
Yep. So it's just a general idea. Is the purpose to trade it in? Is there a purpose to resell it on the open market? And I'm not just talking about vehicles. I'm talking about everything, right? I'm talking about our old CERT vehicle, right? I'm talking about, where does when the CERT vehicle, is done its useful life, where does it go to? I understand that the last CERT vehicle went to another town for free, right? So is it worth something? Should the town be given some consideration for its value? That's all. I mean, that should be on the capital form in my mind, Rosemary.
Okay, by large, the procurement officer, I believe, before was Frank Lyman. I don't know who it is now. It was the town administrator. The procurement laws require us, everything has a value. And we have to meet that value.
Yeah.
And there's an auction site, and, we have
Yeah.
all that. So I think the procurement officer should be able to tell the capital committee the value of something, the value of, these are the things we're selling and getting rid of, short the value, take that off the top.
And I wanted to be clear, though, that the finance committee is not recommending a policy here. The finance committee is just recommending things that are going to increase the possibility of more assets to be distributed for all town departments.
I totally agree with you, Rick. I think, this quote here for the building commissioner's vehicle for 35 grand, it should have a line item
Your
of,
procurement officer.
a $2,000 or $3,000 for the trade-in, deduction.
We just
I
got it
don't
on
know.
municipal bid, it's 5,000.
Yeah, it's just fun.
5,400, so anything over 5,000, you have
See
to
that,
put
Rick?
on municipal bid.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good, yeah.
there's a
So, I
website.
mean,
that
so
uses
it's
them.
not your
Cohasset
responsibility.
uses them all the time.
Okay.
They take their cruises and they work it on this, so they
What's an auction site?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's called municipal bid, and
yeah,
your
they-
procurement officer should be doing all that.
Hingham,
You-
Rosemary,
Cohasset,
Al was talking.
You're right, Al did it.
Hingham, Cohasset uses it. They do it all the time.
Seems like Al knows all the
You know.
details.
Yeah,
You
he
can take up that role.
No,
Somebody gets paid to
Appreciate
do
it.
that. Al's volunteering.
that's the way they do it. Towns
Yeah.
do that. They DPW, the Cohasset, they do the same thing. They dump it in there and they auction it off.
We
Yeah.
we can put it, I mean, we can reject requests if it doesn't have this in here.
That's a great idea.
That's what we can do.
Yeah.
That's a
But that's
great
about
idea.
as far
Yeah.
as the capital committee.
Well, I think that's
I think
that's
go.
a good start, yeah.
That's a good start. I think that, and that's reasonable because you're volunteers.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right. All right, so let's move to facilities then. We're all done with the fire department. So facilities, and let's make a point to credit the facilities department for having a 5-year look ahead.
Right.
Thank you. This is
I think
the best.
that's a great idea for this particular item. Replace one a year. This is what we should be doing with a 5-year plan. This is the way we're going to have
Yeah.
a sustainable budget, really, if we have a 5-year plan and actually use it. So we get to the pool house pump room upgrades. How many quotes did we get for these items?
So I'll rehash what I talked about this here. This comprises of about 4 or 5 different trade disciplines, and it's summed to 20K. I don't even know if this really should have fallen under a capital request, but he's got a new roll-up door. He's got plumbing fixtures. He's got electrical fixtures. He's got, I think, hardware fixtures. So there's 4 different things, but he just grouped everything together. He's got quotes for everything, but not multiple quotes.
Fencing, moving the gates.
Yep. And
Who are we talking about?
we're talking about
Facilities.
the facilities for the pool house.
No, I know that, but who
Facilities manager is the one
Oh,
that put
Todd.
together the quote, right?
Todd. I think he got everything, one quote for everything, but each one's like 3 grand, 5 grand, 7 grand, and it all summed to 20 grand.
So the only
So
reason
we
I'm asking,
bundled it together.
Could we break out just what's necessary?
It's all
It's all
necessary.
necessary.
Every bit of it is.
It is? Okay,
Yeah.
so the moving the gate is necessary
Yeah.
and, okay.
Yeah. Kids can get in there and hurt
Okay,
themselves.
absolutely, I'm sorry. I'd like-
Basically, the moving of the gate is so that they can make the labs handicapped accessible,
Yeah.
Okay,
replacing the toilets that need to be replaced for low water flow anyways, and making it so that you can't just access them from the outside. So when you move the gates back, now you're making them having to hop that big fence in order to get inside.
makes sense from a security
Yeah.
perspective.
Oh, wait a second.
Vandalism, etc.
Wait a second, just quickly. That facility is not just for the pool, though, for the bathrooms?
Yes.
The bathrooms are for the park and the pool. So.
Is it?
Yeah, it
For the
is.
park and the pool.
Yeah, so is there accessibility, because is there accessibility to the bathrooms without having to go through the pool area?
I would think that you'd probably leave the existing fence,
Okay, and
but
then
just
you'd add
have
on.
gates so that,
Okay,
I thought that's what his plan was.
So I guess,
We can confirm
yeah,
that.
yeah, I'd ask him if the bathroom facilities are supposed to be just dedicated to the pool or to the whole
Right.
park.
Are we sure it's supposed to be for
it's the only
everybody with the
facility
park?
for the only park, and they use it for all the different events. So
Okay.
they use it for Whitman Day, they use it for.
So moving the fence
sports.
would have an effect on
It would,
it.
if a child has to go to, if a child is going to play at the park, they're gonna use that
Well,
back.
you run programs there during the summer.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then we get to the ground condenser replacements, recommendation to approve. Heat circular pumps was deferred,
Yep,
and the fire panel was recommended to approve.
yep, and
And
that had multiple quotes to it.
that had multiple quotes.
It did.
Okay, and that's for the police department.
That is for the police department.
Okay, so then we already did the police department vehicle.
Yeah,
Are
just
you
one vehicle.
recommending?
Well, yeah, I don't know why.
Doesn't say that.
I know, it is. We recommended it.
And what is that replacing?
Obviously, one of their cruisers. I don't know which
One
one.
of their older ones.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, just same thing, right? I think we
Yep.
should just track the old one and find out, what the disposition is.
Yeah, we can even make. I don't know if the
I'm sure the police-
vehicles are numbered. I don't know if there's
They're
a.
trade-in ones, aren't they? They're trading that one in,
They are.
just
would
as long as
imagine.
they're meeting that municipal bid amount.
Mm.
I wouldn't,
I imagine they all have a number to them.
Yeah.
So we could say, this one here is going to replace whatever number it is.
Okay, and we'll hold off. We think we asked all the questions on the school.
Yep.
John, chime right in too if there's something you want to talk about.
I think we lost him.
No. John, you still there?
Oh, yeah.
yeah. He's just listening.
I'm not going to attempt to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
It was Rosemary,
people
yeah,
talking
With Al here.
You.
Oh, well.
Nobody's gonna see your hand, John. So just
Us
yell right out. The beauty about being in the phone on the phone is you can nod off like Ralph, and nobody's gonna know.
I think you can have a snack and no one's going to notice even better.
Can we ask you if you have a snack right now?
Slippers?
All right, we don't have to know that. All right, so technology. We're at technology.
Oh, I was at the far end of the buffet.
Nice. We're definitely coming over after the meeting.
Yes, at your house next time.
Exactly, yeah.
So computers. Now we've seen this, and we actually discussed this with the library when they were in, and they talked a little bit about the ancient computers. I wish that Mike Warner was here tonight because he has that's his job. He understands computers and the
Okay.
needs and the technology. So you did say that there were 30 total.
32.
They don't need
And
to
you
go to the
didn't say
library.
what departments other than the library they're going to.
Yeah, this is 10,000 a computer.
There's not 30.
No.
There's not 30.
1,000
Oh,
a
one
computer.
there. Hold on.
It's
But-
30,000.
Oh,
But there's not
one left.
30 computers going to the library.
There's not 30 going to the library. I do believe he plans to have, I think, 3 or 4 in reserve and replacing a bunch of them that need to be replaced. think that's
Can
what
they be delayed for next year, like not have the reserve?
they possibly could. Yeah, I
Can I
could
look
see.
to pare that one down if it's not necessary?
I didn't really drill into. You know, he felt pretty confident that that's what he.
Well, I mean, that's what he does, and we certainly don't want to
Right.
usurp his experience with computers either, but like I said, what we're really looking to do is find out, obviously, from what we understand, the ones that are at the library only could serve as a boat anchor, from what I understand, as far as their
That's what
age.
Josh basically said also, that they,
But what about the ones other than the ones that are going to the library? What are they replacing? What are the value, right? Are they useless, worthless? I'm just thinking for,
I can respond in an email with that.
Yeah, what's the procurement on that?
Yeah.
Those ones, yeah.
okay, and then the Avaya phone system upgrade, you said that was, where's that going into the,
That's going everywhere. I think it's going for between the police, the fire. So the fire system right now, and I don't know if I'm explaining it accurately, and Fred, if you want to jump in anytime you can, but from what I understand with the fire system, if their emergency system goes off or activates, their phone system won't integrate into this building, the police department, or anything else. It kind of takes over. And this new system gives them the availability to upgrade this. Right now, they have I guess a total limit of, I think it's 11 phones that can be activated at any one time. Doesn't matter how many extension numbers that are tied into our system, but only 11 can physically be used at any one time. This upgrades that to like 256. So right now, if there was an emergency situation where the emergency numbers were coming in, they would take over everything and everybody else would almost be shut down, or at least be waiting on hold to get a dial tone. This here upgrades the whole system to basically resolve that problem.
so I think from our meeting with technology, this is part of a grant? Is this our share of the grant?
I think it is, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the grant, I think was, does anybody recall, the grant was like $300,000, right? So it's an investment, it's part of our strategic plan, I guess, to bring this technology to the town, from what we were told from the technology director.
Is this a reimbursable amount? So it's a grant, usually you pay and then you get the money back.
No, I think this is just our portion,
share of
our
that.
share of it.
Usually with a
Updated.
grant, this
So usually it's
particular-
50-50, so it's only 30-60?
I believe it was E-rate, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was, but this is our share of it.
Right,
And what is their share, how big is the grant thing?
I thought it was 300,000.
Yeah, you earn credits over a time period, and then when you're utilizing those credits,
Okay.
you've got to participate in so many dollars.
So we can go back to our meeting with technology and find out, because he did bring this up, we talked about it at
Yeah,
length.
when he said E-rate, it's
So,
the same thing.
yeah, that's the way I understood it, was
Yeah.
we only have a limit of 11 active populated
And it's the
dial
old
tones that
system.
work. Right.
It's the original phone system, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
This is put in conjunction with the school district, on the same pathway of servers or fiber or whatever.
He's doing fiber optic, this is the one where he's doing fiber optics at
Right.
the police station.
Yeah.
So,
Throughout.
it's now
I think you guys may be
time to pay.
mixing
That's,
projects.
okay,
I think this is just the phone system.
this is the.
The phone system right now, what he has, the phone system is only capable of providing I believe the number to be 11. 11 dial tones, so between the school, the library, here, fire, police, everybody else. Only 11 numbers can be activated at one time.
Well, the school's not part of it anymore, I don't believe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get more information anyways.
We'll get more information,
Yeah.
but I don't think this has to do with the fiber going up and down.
When the original.
No, the original did.
The original did, but, and you separated that out, because they did the phones separate, they had a warrant
Correct.
article 3 years ago, right, for the, is that the same
Yeah,
one?
so the phones, have now been relegated to the town.
Yeah, thank you. So,
away from.
so the 11, did the 11 dial tones originally, were the original amount for the schools and the town? Or was it the amount that was allocated to the?
Rosemary, I think we should just wait for more information.
Todd can clear, I mean, Josh
This
can
is the
verify that.
demographic,
Yeah.
because the demographic changed.
Right, but I'm just saying, I mean, why ask questions about
He
something we
can't
don't
do.
have the answers to,
Right.
right? So if we go to the second page, we're talking about, chapter 90, or money for asphalt and for sidewalks and street repairs, that the capital committee has decided to reduce from 100 to 75 for each of those.
Yeah, so a total of 200 between the sidewalks and the roads to 150.
Okay. All right, and the STIP program, it's gonna be, Bruce is gonna bring more information to the committee about that at your next meeting.
That is correct, yeah.
And the wing ply was just gonna come off of this spreadsheet because it's already
That's
It's
already
already-
been committed,
in play.
yeah.
So everybody should know, STIP is Chapter 90. Chapter 90 formula programs, and that's a Chapter 90 program.
Transportation improvement program.
Yes, all road is Chapter 90. Chapter 90 goes all roads and T-stations. So that is still, when you're looking up what's available, you can look under the Chapter 90 program and find the STIP.
Yeah, because chapter 90 is broken out separately on this
That's their
spreadsheet.
formula program.
Okay.
So it's Chapter 90 formula. That's
Okay.
automatic amounts.
So the only
one-
applications right now that the capital committee is moving forward are the 75 and 75 for a total of 150.
That's correct.
We don't
Okay.
have to ask for the one that says Chapter 90 formula. We have to ask for the 90, the other ones, other grants. So these are automatic, just like Chapter 70 is automatic. That Chapter 90 formula program is automatic to how many roads you have, your population, and it's an automatic formula.
So are you just saying that one of them should come off the spreadsheet because it's not something you're gonna
No,
recommend?
that's not what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm saying when we're asking for grants, we're still asking if you're looking for them, you're still looking under Chapter 90, just not their formula program. You're looking under the streets programs and other things. But on the websites, when you're looking, that's where you're going.
Okay, so when the spreadsheet is revised, the wing plow won't separate the two, so they'll be
Right.
right together.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other questions? John, this is the time, if you want to throw anything out there, it's totally up to you.
I'm all set.
Okay.
I did one comment going back a ways. My understanding is that the town administrator's position should be somebody that's trying to pull together all of the grant opportunities, not just for the selectmen, but for the entire town. And I'm also under the impression that all of the vehicles were being cataloged in the Board of Selectmen's office.
I believe that to be true. Yep, I believe all assets are now being cataloged in the Board of Selectmen's office, so
I think we have
I believe that's the case.
we have a total accounting of all vehicles. I do know that.
Right. So, like I said, we can follow up with the town administrator, the assistant town administrator, to find out exactly where we are with that particular procurement piece. And point well taken. So, anybody else? Anything for our capital committee? And again, we want to thank you both for coming and giving us an update. This is
Good.
good
I'll
information.
follow up with some of those questions that you guys had with emails. I'll send them to you, Rick.
Okay, great.
You can
Yep.
distribute
Get them
Thank
right
you
out
so
to the
much.
committee.
Thanks for
We're meeting again on the 28th, so what I can provide before then I will, and everything else will come after that.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks for.
All right. Well,
All
thank
right,
you guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See you, Rick.
Have a good night.
Good that we all have a plan here.
Fred, I signed your papers downstairs, so
Oh, thank you.
good luck.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we will move to our next item on the agenda is subcommittee reports. So Kathleen O'Diner is not in attendance tonight, so we will table the committee reports for the Whitman Hanson Agreement Amendment Committee, the Middle School Building Committee, And I can tell you that the Public Works Department Building Committee was supposed to start job meetings this past week. And from what I understand, the job meetings have been suspended for the time being. And so we'll probably get some more information about where we are with the special legislation, because I know it is definitely affecting the contractor's ability to move forward. And thank you all for your attendance last week to get the letter out to the governor's office. And I think, like I said, working in concert with the Board of Selectmen to get this legislation passed is critical to not wasting money. That the town has made it clear that that's what they want to do. So, all right. So that's it for the
These are asset tax.
building department updates. From the audit, I will give a report basically on communications.
Yes. Come on, Massachusetts Department.
That is very important with this audit, right? Kathleen has submitted emails to both town administrators in Whitman and in Hanson, citing her concern that the audit is now being suspended because the school does not have the resources to participate in the audit. So there's a little bit of concern that it's not moving forward because the district doesn't have the resources that they need. So some emails went back and forth. Just want to keep the committee up to date with the fact that the audit is not ongoing and it's suspended for now and until it looks as though the new business manager is in place at the district, the audit will then resume. So that's the story with the audit as far as I know. That's the information that I have from those emails that I was CC'd on. Anybody else have anything they want to discuss for the fiscal 25 budget? We're still waiting for a final balanced budget from town administrator, Board of Selectmen. Maybe that's going to get rolled out on the 26th with our joint meeting. Whether we talk about an override or what direction we want to go in, I think it's important that we meet together with the Board of Selectmen and make a plan and get behind it. So.
I do want to mention that if you were reading the newspaper, there's an interesting point made by the chair of the school committee that because money is never allocated when you raise your levy to single out and say this is a school override or anything, it's always an operational override, essentially, that it shifts and it can't be earmarked, speaks to kind of what we've been talking about. Like, essentially, no matter what, we're going to get a bill from the school, and we're going to have to prepare for a budget with an override or without an override, and it doesn't matter what name they put on it. A budget that, if it fails, so a contingency budget. So I would be thinking in terms of not an override when we're looking at this budget in the back of your head. How do we make sure that we stabilize this and put forward a balanced budget with and a balanced budget without? And if it is an override, that we're careful not to, let it be, make it rain, if you know what I'm saying. Like, really careful and tight on that.
Yeah, right. Got to be responsible. Okay. All right. Anybody else? And then communications we have done under other business. And again, town administrator not available. Our meetings are getting fewer to get us to the finish line. So I would ask that, certainly understand when you have financial, matters at home. But if you're going to miss a meeting, if you could definitely, communicate to the chair. Because the worst thing I can see is not having a quorum, and then you're wasting the time of the people that showed up for this meeting and can't meet because we don't have a quorum. So just keep that in mind for we only have 6 meetings left, so keep that in mind and try to make all 6 and make this process work for the taxpayers.
Have we had any backfills for the people that are on the board for, what's his name, that young kid?
He's gone.
I sent him I cell phone messaged him, and he didn't respond at all.
He's
So,
gone.
You're talking about
He's gone.
Casanova, right?
yeah,
Oh,
Justin
okay. Yeah, we're
Casanova.
talking about Casanova,
Yes.
because I thought we were talking about the
So,
he's-
he needs at this point to communicate to the moderator that he's going to resign, or else we'll have to go through the process that we went through before, which is long and arduous and useless to time consuming in the process for us to remove somebody that's not participating in the process.
I think at town hall, if there's not already a list, there should be a prepared speech for the public to come in and volunteer for town meeting and really highlight, you know, it is a lot of hard work, but I think it's worth it, you know, when you know you've done something. So from our perspective, it's worth it to come and donate your time and your energy for your community. So
Yeah, no doubt about it.
if you're-
All right, does anybody else have anything under good of the order? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we got a move and a second. We'll have to do a roll call vote. Ralph?
Yes.
Rosemary?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you all for coming. John,
Rick?
have a good night.
Thanks, Sean.
And we're wishing
Thanks.
you a full recovery, hopefully.
Hope you feel better.
Do miss you, John.
But don't hesitate to call back in next week if you still, still need a little more
We
time.
can do it on the front lawn. We can do it outside on the front lawn.
Yeah.
Warm out.
All right,
Let's get good.
have a good night.
Yeah, we could do a barbecue in the backyard.
Good night.